Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to endorse the film Invictus. It's one of my favorite films, actually, and Morgan Freeman, who's from my home state of Mississippi, Morgan Freeman played Nelson Mandela, and the reason that he played Nelson Mandela is because Nelson Mandela would not give the green light or permission for this movie unless Morgan Freeman played him. And Morgan Freeman did an excellent job playing Nelson Mandela, and actually, Mandela's two bodyguards from real life, two of his presidential bodyguards, Jason Chabalala and Linga Munsami, they were both played by South African actors. Jason Chabalala was played by Tony Koroge, and Tony Koroge is a very devout Christian, and him and his wife pray before they start their day every day, and they count on God to take them through tough times. That's why him and his wife have such a great marriage, and that's definitely a model actor that we all can look up to. So I was glad he was able to play Jason Chabalala. And Mandela chose a path of reconciliation instead of vengeance, as the movie shows. And he chose to keep the name the Springboks. And back during the days of apartheid, the black South Africans cheered for any rugby team that played against the Springboks. So many people thought that Mandela and the South African Sports Ministry were going to change the name to the Proteas, which is the national flower of South Africa, to change the rugby team's name. But Mandela chose to keep the colors of the Springboks, and he also chose to keep the Springboks name because he said that past is the past, we look towards the future. And he met with Francois Pienaar. Francois was the captain of the Springboks. And in South African rugby, being the captain of a rugby team is like being another assistant coach. The captain wields a lot of power. And you'd see in the movie that the captain didn't have to have a roommate when he traveled with the team. The captain had a room to himself. And that's pretty much how it was with the captains of the rugby team. One thing, though, the movie, Chester Williams, he played for the Springboks, and yes, he wasn't white, but by South African standards, he was not black, he was colored. He had been a sergeant in the South African Defense Force for a while, and normally a black soldier couldn't make sergeant during the days of apartheid, but Chester Williams had been a sergeant during apartheid. But Chester Williams was accepted with the other Springboks. There were a few racist incidents, but very little, if any. Chester Williams had said that he had experienced racism, but when his teammates called him out on it, he immediately retracted the statements and said he enjoyed his time with the Springboks. The way the South Africa's economy is, people do anything to get money. I can see that. But everybody forgave each other, so you move forward. And the film Invictus shows in great detail of when the Springboks beat New Zealand's team, the All Blacks, for the 1995 Rugby World Cup Championship. And it was a tough road. A lot of people didn't think that South Africa would have qualified for that World Cup, except that they were the host country. And because they're the host country, they qualified automatically. But Mandela met with Francois Pienaar, who was the captain of the Springboks, and they were both able to motivate their team to win the 1995 Rugby World Cup. It's an excellent movie. It stresses reconciliation, forgiveness, doesn't stress vengeance, stresses racial harmony, and that was Mandela's goal. Mandela said that the entire nation understood sports, so he wanted to unite the nation behind a sports team, and that's what he did. By the time the Rugby World Cup started playing, and when the Springboks started winning a few matches, all South Africans, black, white, Indian, colored, almost all of them started cheering for the Springboks in the 1995 Rugby World Cup. Anyways, hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless them. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.